the 10th of January, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos.
So then it has to bounce off a satellite
Yeah,
or towers or something.
yeah. Good morning, Lou. Oh,
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Roy.
morning,
Good
Bill.
morning,
Ron.
Rabbi.
Good morning, Lou.
right.
Here we are.
How's everyone today?
Baruch Hashem.
Fine, Baruch Hashem. Okay.
Well, I have a problem, Rabbi.
Yeah.
read-
Yes, Lou.
We read in Pele Yoetz yesterday that you can't greet your rabbi.
What did they say? What did they say to do then?
You should say Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe Amori.
Okay. Right. Okay.
As opposed to what?
Hi there.
As opposed to, I'm doing fine, how are you?
Mhm.
Oh. I mean, but you can greet your Rebbe, right?
It is prohibited to greet one's rabbi or to respond to the greeting of his rabbi. Rather, he should not greet him at all. In order to fulfill Eov 29:8, the young boys saw me and hid themselves. He may say to him, "Peace be unto you, my rabbi and teacher." So, peace be unto you, my rabbi and teacher.
Isn't that a greeting?
No, it's a bracha.
It's a bracha, I guess.
Apparently not.
Okay.
We're trying to get some clarity on this issue.
All right. Bez Hashem, we can try and clarify that. Bez Hashem. Okay. We can work on it. We'll see about that. Okay, saying Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe Amori. Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe Amori. You say that yet?
Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe Amori.
Yeah, I can't.
Aleichem Shalom. Aleichem Shalom. Okay, fine. Good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here. You see Hamanafshi here in Shalom Care of Zoom. We are in our first year this morning. We're going to return to the Maral now. If you remember your document that we had started last week, it's on the screen as well. This again, we're trying to clarify according to the Maral Miprag's commentary on the Maimar of Rabbi Akiva in the third parak in Pierke Avos. Rabbi Akiva Omer Schok, Kalas Reish. That's levity and lightheartedness, frivolity, or Gilin La'ervet will bring a person to habituate a person towards lewdness. And so now, if you take a look, we have the parish of the Maral that's in Derech HaChaim. We're going to go over it again because that's what we went off into a tangent to try and understand a little bit about the Shekhinah. So now we understand a little bit more from what we understood, let's say, last week, but we still don't understand a lot about it. It's not a big subject. We'll have to come back to it as a Shem sooner or later. And let's see what the Maral has to explain about this concept of, because he's trying to explain what's the inherent tendency of schoik v'kalas rosh that will lead a person to erva. How does that work? So let's start again from the very beginning. You have it there, the Derech HaChaim al Avos Perek Gimel, schoik v'kalas rosh magir elin le'erva.
Okay, I have what I see on the screen, Derech Chaim al Avos Parent. Oh, that's what you just said. Okay, yes. I see it. I'd like to read, please.
Okay, but if no objections, going once, going twice, going three times.
No objections.
Come on, Barry, don't let me down.
But no, I know. I'm fine. I'm good. No,
Okay.
but I would, while we're on the subject of reading, I would like to arrange that starting next Rosh Chodesh, that I read every day until Pesach. That way I could get some practice too.
Okay, if you want, you can certainly have a
Right,
chance.
so we
to
have,
read.
you know, so we'll talk as Rosh Chodesh approaches.
Okay.
No
sounds
I'd
good.
like to improve my reading also.
Good. Okay,
Absolutely.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Schoch v'kalos rosh margilin le'erva. So levity and lightheadedness accustom one to lewdness. Tam devar zeh yadua ki ha'erva hu ba'atzmo tzchok. The reason for this is it is known that lewdness by itself is jesting.
But small by a bit, like it's like in its essence is frivolity.
Frivolity. Okay. Lewdness in its essence is frivolity. As it is written, hakasuv, as it is written, hevi lanu ha'ish litzchak banu uperusho erva v'zeh b'kama mikamos shenikra ha'erva. Okay, so he brings to us a man that is jesting with us and explains, and his explanation.
Okay, so first you see from the pasuk that the pasuk uses this expression, right? That that you see that the like a synonym for the error is schok. Okay.
Right. And this the quote ends after Banu.
Avialana is Banu, right? Exactly. Unquote.
Okay, so this is a
right.
quote from Potiphar's wife, and she's talking about Potiphar bringing Yosef to their house.
Right.
He brings to us a man that he brought to us a man that's jesting with us, that's lewd with us.
Right. Exactly. That was her acquisition. She was accusing Yosef of lewdness. Right.
Perusho, and he explains erva v'zeh bekama makamos shenikra ha'erva. Explains the word erva that in many places they call erva schok.
Right. And being the parish, the explanation of erva in many places is referred to as schok, levity.
Okay. Kamo hevi lanu ha'ish litzchak banu. Like the quote we just quoted. Va'af ha tish ma'im, and even in relations, shahu bikadush that it is with holiness. U the parishus, uba parishus, and with abstinence, nikra tzchok. It's called levity. I'm not following what the word abstinence is doing stuck in here. Precious. It's with holiness and with abstinence.
Right. Well, it's not really. Abstinence is not.
Not the right word.
not-
What
in
is
in
this
context.
precious?
So precious, meaning precious by when it comes to the meaning. I would say it's more of self-control, right? Kedusha, holiness is self-control, right? Even in reference to tashmis, when it's used in a context of kedusha, holiness, and self-control, right?
It's still
referred to
called
as-
skok. It's still
still
called
called-
levity.
right.
Okay, so this is our our case of the couple who is Yiras Shamayim, and they're it's in the context of a marriage, and they want to have children, and everything is bright. Nevertheless, we call it schok.
Right.
Kamo shamar hakasuv, as it says in the pasuk, vayira es Yitzchak meitzchak es Rivka. He saw that Yitzchak was acting with levity towards Rivka, Ishto, his wife.
Right. So you see on the highest level, even between Yitzhak and Rivka, right, the marital relations is still referred to by the Torah as chok.
So that would seem to imply that the word schok has a negative connotation.
I mean, it not. I mean, it can. It doesn't have to. Doesn't have to.
Right, because in the context of this quote about Yitzchak, I had always understood this to be a positive connotation, that he saw that he was acting with her in the way of a husband and a wife, but
Right.
in the proper way of a husband and a wife, that he was joking around and they were smiling and laughing and having a good time.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Ulefichach amar ki schok ukalas rosh margilin o min hagin es haadam legamre.
Liadei erva.
Liday erva. Okay, so therefore, it is said that levity and lightheadedness. Now, kalos rosh, does that have both positive and negative applications, or is it only negative?
It can. I mean, Kalas Rosh is basically as it is, meaning being not serious, being lightheaded, meaning. But it doesn't have to necessarily be always in a bad way. It depends on the context. I mean, it says there's a halacha that in a Beit Knesset, right? It's also bikalas rosh. Let's see. We'll be getting to it. Let's try not too far. that there's a whole series of Hilchos Beis Knesset. We'll be getting to it, Bezos Hashem, when we continue on with our. And if you want, if you have your Mishnah Berurah Pelik Sheni next to you, right?
Mishnah Berurah Bet, you're saying?
Yeah. So if you look there in Siman Kuf Nun Aleph, Siman Kuf Nun Aleph, Beiti Kinesius, right? Beiti Midrashas.
Kuf Nun Aleph.
Right.
Okay, what's Sif?
Right there in the beginning, Aleph.
Vate kinesios uvate midrashos ein nohagin bahem kalos rosh. So in the shul and the study hall, one should not accustom himself to lightheadedness. Kigon schok vehitul. For example, levity and I don't know what hitul is.
Hitul is also that's also in the same way it's just, I guess, like jesting, levity and jesting, joking. Like hitul is like joking maybe. You know, it's not a place for saying to start making jokes and things like that. So
the sicha betela, it nullifies something. What's sicha?
No, and sicha betela and what we call conversations of no worth.
Ah, idle talk.
Right, exactly. Correct.
The ain ochlin, and you shouldn't eat the shotim bahem. You shouldn't eat and drink in them.
Okay, you can stop there. So you see, in the shul and the base medrash, in yeshiva, you're not supposed to have kalas rosh, right? So what can you say about if you're not in the Beit Knesset, if you're not in the Beit Medrash, if you're on a bus, if you're in the supermarket, like can you have kalas rosh there? I mean, is it an avera to have kalas rosh in other places? So Rabbi Akiva is telling us that these things, spoke for kalas rosh, will lead a person to erva, right? Lead a person to erva. So apparently, it's not such a good thing in and of itself, meaning, but because it could lead to something more serious.
Well, unless you want to view this as you might, if you were reading a book written for a chassan and kala as a guide, so it may say that if you want to have relations, which is erva, then you should lighten the atmosphere by joking around and being playful.
I mean, so there's a time and place for it. There's obviously a time and place for it.
Right.
So, and there's there's times and places not for it. So you know, the person's in the you know go back 50 years, and if when you're you're there and and everyone's standing at attention saying I pledge allegiance to the flag, and you start making a joke, so what would happen to you, Barry, huh?
They'd shoot him.
Yes, you went to a
Yeah, well.
conservative. You went to a conservative elementary school.
Hey, I was a Boy Scout, man. We didn't mess
Yeah.
around.
So yeah, there are times even sometimes it's good to say a joke. It's always good to have a good joke in the back of your pocket. You never know, things get too seriously. So, sometimes it's good to say a joke.
Also,
So
even with learning Torah, I believe there's a discussion in the Gemara that
mhm.
says it's appropriate to start off a Devar Torah with a joke.
Right. It's a Gemara. It's called Milsa Bidikusa. It's something which is light, something which is somewhat entertaining, because you want to get have everyone relax. If people are too serious about things, it's not conducive to learning. It's not conducive for Rav Steinberg Zechron Bracha, who he without the course of his career, he advised many couples on many different things, and he said one of the main reasons why young couples don't have children initially is because they're too serious. They're too serious. They have to be more relaxed and just let nature take its course. And so he said that was a big cause of the woman not being able to be to conceive. So it's just they take it too seriously. So yeah, it's very important. Definitely very important. So,
On the other hand, I also learned that a person who is in shul should be biyira.
right.
And I asked the rabbi, the word yira,
Mhm.
sometimes people will translate it as fear.
Right.
Sometimes people will translate it as awe.
Mhm.
I said, now, in this case, which is it? Because to me, awe is, wow, this is a wonderful place. Wow, the Shechina's here. I'm just in awe. It's a reverence. It's a sense of the greatness of the place. I said, but fear is like, a full-grown lion just walked in the door,
Mhm.
and I'm afraid.
Right.
And I said, which is it? And he said, it's both. You should have both. You should try and have both concepts.
Mhm.
So if you focus on the idea of the fear of the lion walking in the door, I would not start making jokes at that time.
Sure not.
I wouldn't be in the mood for joking around and being lightheaded if a man-eating lion was standing in the doorway of the shul looking at me.
Right. Of course. Right. So yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why it's also bekalas rosh, right? And the scope with kol in the beit, right? That it says batikanes version ain't no. You see, it's the if you look at the Shulchan Aruch again, we just read bati kinesios, the shuls, bati medrashos, the yeshivas, the base midrash, ain't noigin behem kol you're not to be accustomed to act in them with levity and scope, jesting and joking around. That's not what they're there for. Right. So, because that's and the year is that the very basic year that you have to have is that you have to know this is a place of there's certain decorum, there's certain respect you have to have for the place and the way you act there. Okay.
Okay, so
Let's
when we say Kalas Rosh here, we're saying that it's not necessarily a negative thing.
no, not necessarily negative.
Okay, so let's see, now I lost my place. We were at
That brought us to I think Lefika. The last line more or less of the first paragraph. Last full line, let's put it that way.
the Fichach, I see it. The Fichach. Therefore, Amar ki schoch ukalas rosh, because levity and lightheadedness, margilin u min hagin es hadam, they accustom and accustom, I guess 2 words for accustom.
But like Margilin is like they custom and manhiging, they like direct, they move a person toward, they direct, they habituate and they direct a person completely towards error.
Completely towards erva. Legamre, completely. Okay, ki hatschok mevi tzchok acher shehu erva, because the levity brings other levity, and that is lewdness. But now the lewdness, again, I'm translating it as lewdness, but it's not necessarily bad. Is that correct, or is that a bad connotation only?
Well, because erva, if you just look at if you just look at the behavior, meaning whether just the act of cohabitation, right? That it can be done within the context of a couple which is married, or it can be done in the context of people who are simply just it could be the extreme case of illicit relationships, right? But it's still the same. It's still the same action, right? It's just
Right.
a question of what, right?
So I'm saying if it's in the context of a proper marriage, then it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. That's right. Doesn't have to be, it's the act. It's the act. Now the act could be good, it could be bad.
But nevertheless, there is still something about it, even in the best of contexts, that pushes away the Shekhinah.
Oh, we'll see that in the next paragraph. That'll be the next paragraph. That'll be, that concept is going to be elaborated upon in this next paragraph.
Yesh lecha ledas od, and there is to know further, eich haschok v'kalos rosh margilin es hadam le'erva. How it is that that levity and lightheadedness accustom one to erva. V'zeh ki ha'erva hu salok Hashem. And this is because erva removes Hashem min ha'adam from a person. So we're talking about the Shechina here.
Well, we'll be mentioning Shekhinah as we get further on. We'll
Okay, so we haven't mentioned, okay, we're just talking about Hashem now.
Right.
The Devar zeh tir'eh ki ha-ma'aseh hazeh, and in this manner we see that when a person acts in this way, af kasher, even if it's proper, Eino ba'avera, and it's not an avera. Kasiv, it is written below yir'eh v'cha ervas davar v'shav ma'acharecha. So it's written, you should not see in you arvas, a matter of erva, and turn away from it.
Right. And Hashem will turn away from you.
Hashem. Oh, so let's see. There's a negative logic here. Velo, you should not see in you a matter of erva and turn away from Hashem.
No, it says lo yir'eh stuff. You should not be seen in you any ervas davar, any unsightly thing, right? Because if so, shav ma'acharecha Hashem, Hashem will distance himself from you.
Okay, so here we're saying that erva is a bad thing.
Yeah, but it's not something which has to be the actual act of tashmish. It could be something which is unsightly. Erva is something some unsightly thing. But it's not an avera. It's not an avera, right? It's
Not only is it not an avera, but it's kasher.
Right. Well, look, here kasher is like as when. Av kasher.
It's when. Oh, I see. When.
The aleph change. If the aleph kasher that you're thinking would be without the aleph.
Okay, but I'm still wondering if we're talking about the marriage scenario here.
No, not at this point particularly. We'll get back to it, but we're not talking about it right now.
So we're saying that there's no avera, there's no transgression.
Right.
It's an action of erva, but there's no transgression. So, but you're saying it's still unsightly.
Right. Correct.
So I'm trying to figure out what kind of a case this is. I mean, if it's not a marriage relationship, is it an avera? Or we're saying if it's out of wedlock, it's not an avera. It's just a nothing.
No, it's here. This pasuk is, you see this, meaning it could be used in the front of jesting, meaning here the actual the meaning if there's too much levity, that itself is something which will cause a Kadosh Baruch Hu to go away.
Okay, but we have the word ervas.
Right.
Doesn't that, I mean, that's not the same as saying schok.
No, but here, but it's something which is unsightly. Doesn't have to be.
To me, when we're saying schok, that's with a tzadi, right?
Yes.
So everyone pronounces it like it's a sin, like schok.
Yeah, it's
It's with a tzadi, tzok,
Yeah, it's
right?
Right.
Because soak also has a meaning.
That's right.
We say it in Shir Amalas.
Schok.
Right, exactly.
Sochinu.
That's right. Correct.
So it's, it's important to make it clear which word it is, because soak also has a similar meaning.
Very similar. They're very similar together, right? The synonyms, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's very precise. It's meant to be precise.
I agree with you.
Okay, so we're saying that there's a situation where there's no Avera being done, but somehow there's something unsightly having to do with ervas.
Right.
And Hashem turns away from that.
That's right. Right. The whole connotation of erva is something which is unsightly.
Okay, when we call shechein, and therefore it's logical, kasher hu davar erva, when there is a matter of erva shel avera, that is also an avera, legamre shehu salok hashchina, then it completely removes the Shechina.
Right.
I wanted to ask a question. In the Chumash, we're learning that Avimelech saw Yitzchak doing something, right?
Yes.
So my question is, everything we've been reading this morning, isn't this mostly instructions for the male?
I'm not so sure. Not necessarily so. I mean, it applies to women. I think it applies to women as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing things which will, especially if a woman's jesting and lightheaded, she's opening herself up she's making herself very available.
Well, I mean, but what I mean by that is, isn't it up to the man to set the tone?
I mean, what are you're referring in terms of marriage, or?
Yeah, in terms of marriage, and when the proper time for husband and wives to be together, chassan and the kala, so it seems that's what I'm asking. It seems to me that these instructions are directed to the man because he sets the tone.
To a certain extent. To a certain extent, although
He's the more responsible party, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he has the responsibility, right? The responsibility is upon him to satisfy his wife. That is correct.
Right. That's his responsibility, and therefore, since he has that responsibility, he's also responsible to do it properly.
Right. Correct. Okay.
I wanted to ask about the kol v'chomer like logic here. When it says kol shechein, it doesn't seem to me to be a proper kol v'chomer, because if I'm understanding this correctly, if it's done with not in the context of an avera, then Hashem turns away. If it's done in the context of an Avera, then there's a complete removal of the Shekhinah, which is stronger wording than this turning away.
Right. That's true. That's what, because that's what the pasuk says. It says, "V'shav ma'arecha Hashem." Hashem will distance himself from you, but that doesn't mean being distant is different than the siluk. Siluk is complete removal.
Okay.
Right. When it's simple kalos rosh, so it's unsightly and it's inappropriate. Therefore Hashem will distance himself, but it won't be a siluk as is when there's complete avera. Okay, let's continue.
Ki hu maaseh chamrei ve'ein kedushaso yis barach sham. Because it is an act of physicality, is a physical act, and it's not there, and there's not holiness. Yisbarach is referred to Hashem, or
Right.
means blessed.
Says,
How we translate
chamri, since it's a physical act.
Yeah.
Right. Since it's a ma'aseh chamri, it's a physical act. Ein kedushasoi is barak sham. The holiness of Hashem is not there.
Okay, so because it's a physical act, the holiness of Hashem is not there. So that's the crux of the difficulty that I'm having with this whole idea. I mean, a physical act. Eating is a physical act, but I don't think we say that Hashem is not there when a person eats.
No, because the act of eating is not involving the whole goof and mind of a person. It's an isolated physical act. We're always doing physical acts. Right? Everything we do is physical. We're always doing physical acts.
Right.
Yeah. But this
But
act is
even further than that, my understanding is that it's, we are a spiritual part and a physical part. And our job is to elevate the physical part in the spiritual direction.
Right. That's exactly what we explained yesterday. That's the whole point. That Hashem withdraws, leaving a vacuum, and we with Hashem's withdrawal, we fill that vacuum with our spiritual components. Hashem withdraws. That's what we explained yesterday.
Right.
We fill the void.
Exactly right. Exactly, Barry.
So then Hashem withdrawing is not necessarily a negative thing.
I mean, in the context of a mitzvah, it's not a negative thing. It's simply a fact. It's a mitzvah. It's simply that's the way it is.
But that puts the responsibility on the couple to conduct themselves accordingly.
Of course.
That's the whole point. Hashem is saying, I'm turning, this over to you, and we're supposed to live up to it.
That's right. Exactly. 100%.
Okay, Viter?
Let's see. Yeah, I guess let's finish up this paragraph and then we'll stop for today and then continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
Ki kedushas Hashem u'maaseh zeh heim hafchim.
Hafchim, right? Hafchim. The opposite.
Hafchim legamre. Because the holiness of Hashem and this act, they are completely opposite. Ki hu yisbarach kadosh, because he is blessed and holy. Umaaseh zeh hu behemai chamre, and this act is beastly and physical. Kamo shehisba'ar pa'amim harbe, as we have explained many times, ulechach, and therefore po'al zeh, this act, hu meruchak mean Hashem Yisbarach, and this act, and therefore this act, it is distant from Hashem.
Right. Okay, very good. Fine. Like our time, we should take a break now, and we'll try and finish this tomorrow. Bezrat Hashem. Okay, very good. Thank you, Lou, for the reading. And Roy, have a good afternoon.
Thank
And,
you.
Mary Beth,
Thank you.
I guess we'll see you all tomorrow, later on in a few minutes. Mitzvah Hashem.
All right, thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.
Bye.
See you all soon. Take a short break.